Hello there, everyone. My name is Octavian. It's good to have you along. There's going to be another episode of 100 Casts. This one is particularly special. It's been sent in by a good friend of mine. He has a YouTube channel over there in the description. There's a link to it. You can go check it out. His name in-game is going to be Aaron Vertical. I believe it's just Vertical on the YouTube channel. I'm probably going to be calling him Verti. And he plays Ari a little bit. Every once in a while. You may have seen once or twice he plays this champion. I don't know. He's not really that good at it, but some people like his videos. Not really my style. Too many tails, really. I don't know where all those tails are going. It confuses me. Anyways, it's good to have you along. It's pulled from high diamond level, or mid diamond level, somewhere around there. And so it promises to be pretty good, even if Verti is playing Ari, which he doesn't have very much experience on in the end, but what can you do? Looks like blue team bottom lane is going to be starting off at the Krugs. Janna and Caitlyn, that is going to be... This bottom lane is like the dichotomy of how to play bottom lane facing against one another. Janna, Caitlyn throwing out the poke all day long. Ooh, speaking of poke, there's a distortion in onto Verti. He takes a bit of damage early on. And it's against a Nautilus Graves who are going to be wanting to go in hard all day, every day. Play like they've got a massive overabundance of ham. And they have to do something with it. So they're just going to be throwing that at the enemies, showing them exactly how much ham they have. Now, there's the hook already coming out. The fact that Graves and Nautilus were able to finish off that Gromp camp much more quickly than we saw the Krugs to go down is actually a pretty big deal, as it means that Caitlyn got zoned away a little bit in the early game, and Zab is still in a bit of trouble, doesn't have level 2 yet. Though the same can be said of both Nautilus and Graves. Level 2 really only residing in this Caitlyn. There it is. The level up for Graves and Nautilus. They still have the advantage over this Janna, and the hook is going to land. Level 2 lands just in time to knock up with the Howling Gale. Graves going very, very low as Cortex is getting burned down by that dot as well. The heal is popped from blue side. No summoners yet burned from red. That'll be an even trade so far in terms of health, but the summoner advantage so far going to red team in the bottom lane. Ward into the bush. My walls are red, looking aggressive again. Too many minions to reliably land the hook, though. And this bottom lane is explosive already. Hasn't even given me time to talk about some of the other laning matchups that I wanted to get into. As we swap back down to bottom again, one more hook onto Zab. Dash forward into the buckshot. Ziku, there's a headshot onto him. Cortex doing some good damage as well. The knockup lands into both of them. Graves is going so very low. The heal is used for the speed buff to get away. We stepped on a trap. My walls are red. No. Cortex, though, without any mana, does not have the ability to follow up on that misstep. And the consistent DPS that this Caitlyn has been able to output over the entirety of all of these skirmishes has come out ahead of Ziku's burst, both in terms of health and in terms of CX. Cortex is beginning to scale up a little bit better here. Ooh, the chain hit a minion. Star-Lord going to be in some trouble as Verti continues to shove up the wave. Looking to try and land some harass onto LeBlanc. Get the minions under the turret. One of the best things you can do in a LeBlanc matchup. Theoretically. Considering the 1v1 is one of the best things you can do, because LeBlanc has a horrible time farming under tower. Her autos are weak, her spells cost a good amount of mana, and they're on fairly long cooldowns early on. However, LeBlanc is really good at... Whoa, the flash! Into the charm! Verti's a little bit good at Ari, just a little. He gets the first blood in the mid lane. There we go. And that could start snowballing out of control. I didn't even have time to cast that. I just shouted about it. I only did one half of my job, just the shouting, not the casting. But I was saying something interesting about the mid lane. You want to push up on LeBlanc to get those minions under the tower, as Zab gets burned down by a tower shot there. There's damage on the Graves, just about taking him down. Muay Thai, Lee Sin in some trouble, which is confusing to say because he is playing Karthus top. Here comes Petroclast to the bottom lane. Zab very, very low. The flash is up, so he's going to be able to try and escape with that. However, the slow lands. The exhaust, everything being burned just to avoid this volley bear gank. And so in the end, there was nothing to stop My Walls Are Red from flashing for the hook. and securing the kill for Petroclast. I think it was the Volibear who picked that one up. Yes, it was. Cupcake in the bush will keep Cortex a little bit safer, but Petroclast can't sidestep that. Looks like he's heading on home back to base. It's a little bit dangerous here for Cortex, but if he plays it correctly, he might be able to come out on top should a fight break out, because everyone is very low from Red Team. But they are all moderately tanky as well, and I believe Volibear's passive is still up. Yes, it was, so that would have been very, very risky for Cortex to take that fight. Good thing for him backing away like that. Shadowstalker dashing through minion after minion to keep on chasing on to Wily Sin. Very nice placement on those Qs, though, means that he trades back more than evenly. There is some lifesteal on Shadowstalker, but Wily Sin starting to hold his own a bit. Down by 10 CS, but he's Karthus. He'll begin to scale into the later game if Shadowstalker doesn't continue to lay on this pressure. Verdi might be in some trouble. There is a Gragas hiding in the bush off to the side. Here comes Shadowstalker dashing in, dashes away. Nice avoid on that Defile. And he's starting to play a little bit more cautiously around those Qs, which is a good idea. He's ahead enough that he doesn't need to play with reckless abandon. Ooh! Speaking of reckless abandon, there's the hook onto Zab. The E as well going to be slowing him down. There's a slow from the Graves. Here comes Aaron from the side. The charm flies out, but it doesn't connect. Not wanting to use the Spirit Rush that close to a turret. Verdi will just take the Summoner spell trade and head on home back up to the mid lane. Might actually run into the Blanc in the river there. She's basing in the Pixel Brush, as you can see in the minimap. No, just walks right past. Two ships passing in the night. Q not quite landing from Shadowstalker. And this top lane is one of the matchups that I did want to talk about. It's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on, and it's actually one of the few places that we've seen a kill happen in this game. It's been fairly low kill so far, only 3 in the whole game as of yet, but we might be looking at a 4th. Lucknaz is getting chunked away by that bite. There's the knockup. Gonna be stopping Volibear in his tracks, but he already took away half of the Gragas' health, and Red Team has a man advantage near the Dragon Pit. With Gragas that low, it's especially dangerous, and considering that Cortex has no mana, that's a less obvious thing, but it would be impactful should a dragon fight break out. Cortex is a lot of the lead that Blue Team has on the bottom lane right now, and it's going to be greatly diminished in an early fight if Caitlyn is missing all of that mana. I mean, she couldn't net away or something like that, but it looks like the dragon will not be contended with yet, as Waldo, Red, and Ziku will just get some pushing going on to the bottom lane. Does the knockup connect? No, it does not. Shadowstalker still dashes in, gets some good damage. Doesn't quite get the kill, though, as Verdi is going for a kill of his own. The Ignite is burning, so he knows which one is which. Lucknaz, over the wall, actually gives Verdi an escape. Unfortunate. The Gragas barrel was a few pixels away from knocking him the other direction. But that's going to be another 1-for-0 trade for Verdi as he dashes his way back on out from under the tower range. Wily Sin getting dove upon, not even needing the ult. Shadowstalker will go down, actually, trading a kill, as it is very difficult to dive a Karthus. Not too hard to kill him, but difficult to dive a Karthus without dying yourself. Zab standing right in the way of that hook. Makes me think that maybe he was baiting for this engage. He's still coming in for the Zephyr. He really wants this fight. The level 6 is there for Cortex and Zab. Cortex was able to get out a lot of consistent damage during that, since Nautilus spent all of his engage going in onto this Janna. Graves is now down below half, and Cortex, with a bit of lifesteal, just from runes perhaps and that Doran's Blade, and the extra AD that Zab keeps giving him with the shield. We'll be able to sustain up a bit, but there's the depth charge. It's coming in. The hook lands as well. Zab is getting burst down. The Monsoon might be enough to keep him alive a little bit longer. The arcing lightning bolts from this bear. One more auto and he can bite, but the flash just in time to avoid it. Zab will be able to escape, but can he survive the Karthus ult? He placed the shield on Cortex. No. Lee Sin picks up the kill, by which I mean Karthus does. Names are confusing. League of Legends players, why do you have to do this to me? Double distortion forward. Wily Sin might be in some trouble. He is under his tower. The Ignite is burning. Star-Lord looking to try and equalize the disadvantage in his lane with a roam up to top lane. Gets nothing for his efforts. While Verdi, continuing the pressure in the bottom, does manage to get a turret. Do Star-Lord and Stalker want to go for this dive? I don't think it's the wisest thing, but they apparently do, and they do get the kill. And with no ult on Karthus, that low health LeBlanc will be able to continue to escape. Just about make it out of that incredibly dangerous dive, but still worked out for them in the end, so the risk pays off and starts to perhaps bring this LeBlanc back into the game a little bit. Been having a rough time of it in the mid lane, as we've seen some nice charm plays from Verti, but LeBlanc is known for her roaming, and it could actually become something of an issue. Red team has a small lead on the board here now. They have the only turret in the game. As I say that, a turret goes down, so Caster's Curse. Never make any definitive allegations or predictions, or else it will be immediately disproven. And Zab in a 1v1 here. The support duel. Both junglers are coming in now. They want to be involved too. Petroclast going to be dashing on in there as Volibear, or rather rolling on in. With Rolling Thunder, Lucknaz turns around with the enhanced auto attack, and this is just nobody's dying. Zab V1 gets chunked down. Aaron, can he finish off these kills? He can indeed. Killing spree for him, double kill for him. Lucknaz dashing away with the body slam, using the ult just to create some distance from this blood-hungry Ahri. But Petroclast is rolling in. He's got the slow, he's got the smite, and there's the Orb of Deception. Verti is unstoppable. And by the way, oh, actually, I might have to get back to that in a second. The knockup doesn't connect. Shadowstalker flashing forward to try and land it, but tosses it out a little bit too far to the right. Lee Sin just nearly doesn't make it around the corner, but Shadowstalker walked into the death passive. Thankfully, he still had the presence of mind to be able to dodge out a few of those Qs, or else he could have been in a lot of trouble. And by the way, I apologize if there is any video stuttering in this. I am recording on a new video software. Oh, Blanc coming over the wall, trying to go for the steal, doesn't quite get it. Smite, more powerful for taking out dragons than Distortion is. No surprise there, but still a good effort and really not too much risk, since LeBlanc can just instantly leap back over the wall, returning to that launch pad. Death Charge comes out onto Zab, flash forward, or dash forward rather, from Ziku. Hasn't burned the flash yet. There's the Monsoon knocking him away. There's the flash now. As he tries to escape from a 2v2 gone wrong, turned into a 3v2. Cortex has the ulti up, he's gonna burn it there. Walls' red cannot get in the way in time, and might actually be going down himself as well. The knockup lands, the slow lands, the body slam lands. And Petroclast, ooh, Rolling Thunder just about gets him out of range of that Piltover. But he really couldn't help too much in that engagement, because he was already low himself from the previous dragon. There's the ulti, Lucknaz. Just summarily presses R on the bear and gets the kill. Nothing fancy, no fuss, no fret. And a similar situation in top lane. Just a dashing in Yasuo picks up the kill. Aaron Vertigal is in a 2v1 and he is dominating. And Lucknaz doesn't even touch him with any damage. This Ahri play is helping to keep red in the game here, as they just about get mid lane turret, pull ahead in terms of gold, but bottom lane and top lane are both going in favor of blue. 5-1 Yasuo is going to be difficult to deal with, and while Caitlyn doesn't have quite as many kills, her CS lead is impressive, and Cortex has been doing quite a good job of positioning during these skirmishes. I can only assume that that'll transfer into good positioning during team fights as well. Petroclast coming into the top lane for a gank here, trying to bring Lee Sin back into the game, and it looks like he's going to be able to help at least somewhat. Gets himself the shutdown gold, which will be valuable. Volibear can scale fairly well into the later game. But probably would have been better on the Karthus, but in the end, a kill is a kill. And getting that shutdown is more important than trying to determine exactly where it's going to go. Interesting first item rush from Verti here. He's gone with the Luden's Echo, just to get a little bit of extra burst in there, because ever since the changes, Ahri has been a little bit less bursty, a bit more consistent, I would say, just because Orb of Deception now provides a semi-escape as well. Another roam to the bottom lane. Verti is here to toss out a charm, doesn't quite land. Those quick dancing feet on a Janna make it difficult to land the skill shots. But Verti will have that back up in no time at all, and can come around looping about for another chance, perhaps. But there was a Gragas over the wall, and he didn't realize it. Ace in the Hole comes out there, focusing everything onto this Ahri. Spirit Rush does get him out of trouble. But he's already lost a ton of health, and now Lucknaz is turning onto his friends. The charm lands, the Orb of Deception comes across as well, but this is a very tanky Gragas. The ult goes out onto Yasuo. It gets blocked by the Wind Wall, though. Not a very impactful Karthus ult. 1-for-1 trade so far. Both junglers picking up one. Nice charm. Connects onto Shadowstalker at max range. And in the end, that'll just be a 1-for-1 trade across the board from both teams. A lot of stuff burned, but Verti did manage to get out of there. Had he gone down in those first few seconds, that fight could have gone incredibly poorly for Red. And I would just like to say, I keep getting interrupted as I try and make this point, but I am using Dextery now, rather than Fraps. Just giving it a shot, seeing if it's going to resolve some of the long-standing issues that I have had with Fraps every few videos or so. If the video quality on this particular recording is better than Fraps, please let me know. If it's worse, please let me know. Definitely that. And I will either keep or discard. And I just need some feedback, essentially. So yeah, let me know whether or not there were any video quality errors on this that I missed. If it's too terrible, I'm obviously not going to be uploading it. But if there's a little blip here or frame drop there that I messed up and didn't account for, then let me know in the comments, and I'll be sure to change my recording software appropriately. Wind wall, not going to be up, not really going to matter, actually. Wall of Pain will, ooh, flash over it from Shadowstalker. Picks up his 6th kill of the game. This Yasuo, he's getting a little bit out of control here, which is what he needs to do ever since the Yasuo nerfs. He has to be able to win that laning phase if he wants to be super impactful. There's the toss over the shoulder. Ziku, ace in the hole, comes through. Petroglyph tried to block it with the flash, but flashed over it. Does turn around to get the revenge onto the Gragas, but Verti tries to dash over the wall and ends up dashing into a cupcake. Not exactly the plan there. He still has another 2 dashes to try and make it, though. Both of them just closing some distance. They really want this kill onto Caitlyn. But Cortex, as always, manages to keep enough distance to keep himself safe. Here comes Star-Lord now. But he's so ineffective. He's had such a weak laning phase. Star-Lord is doing basically nothing. Vertigal has no more mana left, though. And so a shutdown will go over to this LeBlanc as Cortex picks up another one. And Verti just has to run away with all of his tails between his legs. Nothing he can do to save his team there. An unfortunate turnaround for Red Team. Equalizes the game just about. The small lead for Blue. And a lead in terms of momentum as well. They've got the ability to push up lanes in their favor now. They've got some vision control in the enemy blue jungle because of that, which is incredibly valuable for them. And they might be able to translate that into still more advantage. These next few minutes are going to be pretty crucial as we move forward. This is just about where Cortex is getting out of laning phase. He's finished off that Infinity Edge. He's starting to build into some lifesteal. He's going to be able to be very impactful in these team fights if he can position correctly. So watching where Cortex goes in this particular fight is going to be very important. He actually leaps on over the wall, abandoning the rest of his team to their fates. A few autos onto the bear, and an ult later. 2 kills over to Red Team. They do trade the dragon out for it, but that first dragon is certainly worth 2 kills. Here comes Petroglyph. He doesn't care at all about Star-Lord's damage. He trades back an equal amount with just 2 auto attacks and a bit of burn. There's the bite! Good lord, it chunks! He's sitting on a ward, though. So I don't think this ambush is going to work out, but maybe it'll work out for Verti. He tries to dash through, doesn't quite make it through the wall, but he still has 1 remaining. And he's got that Foxfire up. 7th kill of the game for Verti. And this Ahri is doing a good amount of work. Piltover comes into the bush, doesn't quite connect. Red buff probably going to be stolen away. No reason to leave that up. Might even give it over to this Graves if he gets there in time. Lucknaz just coming to check in on his own jungle, meets a hook face first. Or rather, belly first. Since I think that's what it would connect with before it hits Gragas' face. Petroglyph ace in the hole is coming out. Doesn't get blocked! Cortex is on a killing spree. Karthus ult, again, not too impactful, still needs some time to scale forwards. However, Ziku is turning around, he gets a few crits, the exhaust is down though, and it's very, very difficult to take down Anjana, even when she's low on health, but Verti is able to do it. Double kill for him as he shows up just in time to clean up on a very messy team fight for both sides. Piltover comes out as Verti is standing in a ward. A bit dangerous for him, and Shadowstalker has been split pushing this whole time. That is one of the benefits, though, of Karthus. He can still have some impact on the team, even while defending against this continual split push. As we saw there, his ult, while not super impactful, did actually do a bit of damage that was necessary to take down those kills. But here comes Shadowstalker, and he gets slowed up, didn't realize there was a bear waiting in the wings. And Petroglyph will take home a kill from that one. That is the issue with pushing that far up. Reinforcements are not very far away when you're at the enemy's inhibitor turrets. And a bear with boots of swiftness can come rolling out and be in a spot you didn't expect a bear to be. Very, very swiftly. Star-Lord dashing in just to farm some minions, though. Nautilus not exactly an assassination target, usually. Especially a Nautilus that's built a good chunk of health and some magic resist as well. Probably not where Star-Lord is going to be trying to use his damage. Most likely, that will be put towards Verti, though at this point he has gotten a Zhonya's Hourglass, so that goes a long way towards nullifying an already pretty dampened LeBlanc. The roams that we saw earlier didn't pay off too well, when really they needed to be able to keep this LeBlanc in the game. So mid lane has fallen hard in favor of red team. Crab buff is up near the dragon. Actually, both crabs are up, which is something you don't see too often in this high level of a game. Those things are usually gobbled up as soon as they spawn, but both teams putting a bit more importance on this mid lane play. If blue can push this wave up quickly while Verti is off getting that blue buff, they might be able to take the turret before red can field a good response to stop them. There's the ace in the hole. Ziku a bit out of position, doesn't quite go down though. Verti now getting chunked away as well, but there are two ults already down from blue team, so Petroglyph is just going to run rampant in the backline. Depth charge over to zone away to Yasuo is a double kill for the bear. He doesn't even care though. Chosen of the Storm is up, and he will continue regenerating health through all of this damage. Now Lucknaz is the next target. He turns and he gets the kill on Ziku. Flashing might be able to get him to safety as well. He turns around, lands a nice barrel, slowing up both of his chasers, and Cortex hasn't even been touched. Lee Sin here to try and rectify that. Charm lands, Verti takes a Q to the face. Lee Sin doing some good damage himself as Walza Red continued the chase on the Shadowstalker even though he didn't have any backup. Not the best situation for him. Woo! That lifesteal was well timed by Cortex, or else he might have gone down. He still might go down. The flash into the wall, into the Q. Karthus gets the shutdown. And that is exactly where red team wants it. Verti has been doing well, but there's only so many plays that you can make on an Ahri without decent backup damage from your team. And Graves has been having a bit of a rough time this game. Getting some extra AP onto that Karthus will provide a lot of consistent DPS as we move forward and really help red team to close the deal out on this particular match. Here comes Petroglyph. They are once again looking for a rush down. They do actually manage to get the Talisman of Ascension. Not a terribly long cooldown, but it's something, especially considering that Petroglyph only had to use his Q, I believe, is the Rolling Thunder. I haven't seen a ton of Volibear play recently, so perhaps I'm a little bit rusty on that champion, but only having to use a basic cooldown to be able to pull that one out, so a good trade for him, regardless of whether or not the Talisman will be back up soon. Well, Tornado flies out, doesn't quite land. A lot of tornadoes on blue team, Janna and Yasuo. And that's actually a really good combo to have. The blue team has a very good team comp. They have a lot of dive to the backline, they have a lot of engage, and speaking of engage and dive to the backline, there goes the Graves' health bar. He doesn't quite die though, and that actually might prove all the difference. There's Nautilus coming in from the side. Karthus still not part of this team fight though. Split pushing up in top lane, and blue team is fielding nearly all of their members. They don't have Cortex, but he's coming up, and Karthus is not coming down. If this fight goes on long enough and blue team can survive, they might be able to pull something out, but Verti has not taken any damage. The Graze Burst comes through. Star-Lord has no targets left, and no health left either. He gets the kill into Ziku. Beautiful play. He dashes back in only to die to the bear. But here comes Cortex. Can he turn this fight around? Good damage onto Verti, but he still doesn't quite get the kill. The hook flies out, but it hits Lucknaz, who body blocks it with, well, his gigantic, fat Gragas body. And in the end, that'll be an advantage going, well, really neither way. They both lost a carry in that fight, but if Shadowstalker gets this kill and is able to take something out of it, that will be advantage over to blue team, since the solo kill between Yasuo and Karthus still definitely goes in favor of the Yasuo. And probably will for the rest of the match. I mean, Yasuo very, very good at solo killing somebody like a Karthus, leaping in onto those squishy mages, taking them down, and then escaping back out once again, provided that there's minions to escape too. So, 1v1ing in a lane is one of Yasuo's greatest assets. Whereas Karthus is much better at fielding in those sorts of team fights, which is why I'm surprised we didn't see him try and make his way down. It was an incredibly extended fight. He could possibly have been there for the end of it. The distortion doesn't even break Nautilus's shield. As I said, Star-Lord not really looking to try and assassinate the Nautilus. But he did a good job of assassinating the Graves last fight. Got a bunch of upfront burst onto him and then managed to maneuver his way through the team fight magnificently to actually finish off the kill even when he was ridiculously low on health himself. So some good LeBlanc play. He lost out a bit in lane, but he does have the mechanics he needs, though that is not the appropriate use of them. Hit up by the charm. Here's Verti over the wall. He is legendary. Karthus ult actually a tiny bit wasted. That's unfortunate for him. It wasn't entirely necessary. The damage is still there onto a few members from it, though. And Cortex still attempting to split push out that bottom lane, just trying to get as much consistent gold into his pockets as he can. I'm not really sure of that plan. I think that Cortex needs to be with the team. I think that blue team needs to try and force the advantage they have with Yasuo right now. They need to field that Yasuo in the mid lane. They need to get a good engage off of a Gragas ult maybe, or even a Janna Tornado if they can land it onto a squishy or multiple members of the enemy team or something like that. And then follow that up with LeBlanc burst onto the backline. Have Caitlyn belting out DPS from their backline. And just force a fight right now, because otherwise this Karthus is going to scale harder than Caitlyn can. Speaking of Karthus, ace in the hole, knocking down a chunk of his health. Menace is still coming in for the fight. Shadowstalker gets in range for the Q, and that is the end of the story. Yasuo is on a killing spree. And I think blue team is kind of buying time here, but I don't think time is what they need to buy. I think they need to buy some fights. Periclast is unstoppable. They are doing their best to try and survive in this tiny little pixel burst. Shadowstalker's coming in. He's on the rampage. Verti is here now, and he might be able to clean this one up. He hasn't taken any damage, and he has all his important cooldowns up. There's the W, does some burst. Zico comes in for an ignite, or rather for a crit. Double kill for Graves so far. Ooh, headshot into the back of the bear. There's a bullet right to the back of the head. Ollie Bear goes down. Cortex trying to play fancy feet around this Ahri and Graves. Ooh, Aaron still had his ulti up, so he gets the kill onto the Yasuo. Can he 1v1 Cortex here, though? Not without Charm up. Cortex turns around, he gets a crit of his own. Verti's just going to dash away over the wall. Go for the safe play. Farm some minions. And leave Cortex to his own devices. This Caitlyn play has been exceptional the whole game, but in terms of mechanics, in terms of positioning in the team fights, it has been exceptional. In terms of where Cortex is on the map, and when he gets to the fights, I can't say the same. Cortex has been down in bottom lane when he needs to be mid. Cortex has been in the jungle when he needs to be top. He needs to stick with the team a little bit more, and sometimes not stick with the team. It's just a matter of reading the map. And while I think Cortex has some incredible laning skills and some really good team-fighting positioning, he really needs to work a bit more on keeping with his team, and when it's appropriate to, and not being with the team when it's not. It's all situational, but he just needs to learn to read those situations better. And then blue team could seriously come back into this match. Because a lot of their power is bound up in that Caitlyn. I mean, you might look at the KDA and see the Yasuo and say that he's gonna be the impactful one, and of course, his play will be impactful. But this Caitlyn has been providing really consistent DPS through a lot of these fights without being taken out, and that is her job. That is Cortex's job. That is the epitome of what Caitlyn does. And a well-played Caitlyn can stall a game out for a really long time and can keep team fights flowing in the favor of the blue team even when they should be losing. Providing that Verti doesn't get to the backlines. Providing that Verti doesn't manage to land that charm. It's all about dodging the charm here. With an Ahri that's that fed, and a Caitlyn that's that impactful. There's the Gragas ulti. Shadowstalker not choosing to go in on that one with last breath. A little bit of a botched engage there from blue team. Charm lands into Cortex, but Verti doesn't want to follow that up. Lee Sin going to be flashing in, though. Cortex getting chunked down a little bit, but turns around, gets some good autos off. He's standing in the back line. He's firing out as best he can. The Nautilus ult is coming for him, though, and the damage from Graves off to the side will take him down. Verti is legendary. Lucknaz is getting burned away. And Cortex not realizing that Ziku would be dashing in from that side of the fight. Positioned a little bit off to the side, which would have been perfectly fine, which would have been great, actually, had Ziku not been able to come in from a very odd angle for an AD carry to be joining the fight. Take advantage of the fact that Cortex had already burned a lot of stuff, taking down that Karthus that was sitting on his face. And wipe out the enemy AD carry. There goes the mid lane inhibitor turret, there goes the mid lane inhibitor as well, that is getting melted down. And that'll be a solid advantage for Red Team as they head on home back to base to spend their well-earned gold. Shadowstalker did manage to get up to the top lane with the teleport, didn't go down during that fight. Or actually, no, he did, but he just respawned and got up here. He got some good damage onto the inhibitor turret, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to salvage the disadvantage that they just garnered. Walls are red. Very tanky, but there's a lot coming his way. I don't know if he's going to be able to survive for much longer. Cortex with a few auto attacks, and Lucknaz with that burn from Cinderhulk will take down the kill and turn their attention onto the waiting Baron. Red Team has no vision in the pit here. Cortex is belting out consistent damage. Lucknaz is doing chunks with that auto attack enhancer. Shadowstalker might be a little bit caught out here. Turns around. Whoa, the damage onto Ziku. They both trade evenly. The heal is burned to keep him alive a little bit longer as Petroclast coming over the wall. The Ahri stole... What? What? Verti got the steal onto the Baron, and he is chasing down after Cortex Orb of Deception for the speed boost. The charm goes wide. But even not cleaning up that kill, he more than accounted for himself in that fight. Whew. I don't know how he did it. I mean, I literally don't know how he did it because directed camera decided to show us the 1v1 between Yasuo and Graves, which I can't fault it for. I would have thought that was the more important thing as well. I thought that Baron was well and accounted for by Blue Team. But Verti, with the surprise steal over the wall, manages to keep Red Team in a chokehold sort of position and continue to lay on the pressure in this game. Dragon now gonna be taking down. Nobody from Blue Team around to contest that, as they have super minions pouring up the mid lane. They have Baron buff minions to deal with soon. This is the quiet before the very intense storm that is on its way. Red Team is going to regroup, and they are going to make some damage happen. It's just a matter of where. Blue Team is in full recuperation mode at this point, trying their best just to clear waves as quickly as they can. They do have some decent wave clear, to be fair. And Gragas tossing out barrels, and they have Caitlyn with the Piltover to toss over there as well. But I don't know if that's going to be enough. They've got a lot of engage to avoid. Petroclast charging at them, the depth charge from the Nautilus, and of course, a dashing nine-tailed fox. It's going to be difficult for Cortex to stay safe. We've seen him pull it off. This Caitlyn play has been quite good. Petroclast looking for a little bit of engage. Lee Sin drops the wall. Shadowstalker forced to flash out. Goes right back in again, though, on the ulti. Here comes Verti. He's coming from the side, and this is going to be some really impactful Ahri. Where those charms are placed is going to matter a ton, and so is where those ultis are placed from Ziku. Or ulti singular. He only gets one. With some great damage on the Cortex as well. Legendary! From this Ahri, an appropriate moniker if I've ever seen one. Secondary turret in bottom lane falls, and that looked like maybe Blue Team was going to be able to pull back that fight. They got a really nice Gragas and Yasuo combo. But in the end, Verti is just doing too much damage, and there is too much burst potential from this Graves and Ahri combo. Good lord. LeBlanc got a face full of it. Bottom lane inhibitor will fall, yes. Baron buff does fall off of Red Team, but they are already in the enemy base. And they are already diving under Nexus turrets. However, Lucknaz is very, very tanky. Here comes a rushing Yasuo, gets hit in the face by a charm. Wind Wall up to block any further damage, but that's one Nexus turret rather. Falling Zab getting pulled back in right to the damage from a legendary Ari. Ooh, there's the ulti from Yasuo. It is back up. Here comes the ace in the hole. Shutdown for Yasuo. But good lord, the cost of this fight. And it's still going on. They've lost. Oh, whoa! Shadowstalker gets flashed on. Vertigal is legendary. The Q tosses out, chunks away. Star-Lord does get shut down by a crit. First death of the game for Ari. Star-Lord's coming in. The chain flies out, but it doesn't connect. And honestly, he can't take that fight without the CC landing. And this has been a disastrous few team fights for blue team. And it looks like they're going to be giving up the ghost. The surrender vote comes out. Victory for red team. The end of the cast for me and for you. Thank you for watching. My name is Octavian, and I'll see you next time. And be sure to leave feedback. Did DX3 work better than Fraps, or does Fraps work better than DX3? I need to know, you need to know, everybody needs to know. It's very important information. I'll see you next time.